Knowledge incubation for TEQIP aims at dissemination of knowledge and know-how to teachers, researchers and students. To achieve this goal, KIT Kanpur organized several short courses, workshops, seminars and thematic conferences. This video is a collection of highlights of activities conducted so far. The latest workshop, titled Mechanics School at IIT Kanpur, was held in February 2015. This 5-day workshop offered short refreshers in engineering mathematics, dynamics, fluid mechanics, and solid mechanics. The first day of the school focused on the tools from applied mathematics, which are frequently used by researchers in the field of mechanics. From the second day onwards, 3 parallel sessions were organized, one on fluid mechanics, the other on solid mechanics, and finally one on rigid body dynamics and vibrations. Topics revolved around the basic fundamentals of these subjects, which should be emphasized while teaching a course on these subjects for undergraduate students.
2x2 and x3 as just x3. So what kind of deformation is this?
Del x delta x by delta x, this is cancelling with each other. So finally it will be equal to del ux delta x.
CALDAM School on Discrete Mathematics was organized in February. It brought together prominent and leading researchers in discrete mathematics to give lectures on recent development in the area. This was organized to benefit university teachers, researchers, and doctoral students in the area of discrete mathematics and computer science. By exposing them to the recent developments in the discrete mathematics, algorithms, combinatorics, and graph theory.
Okay, so the bins that were easy before remain easy. So these big bins which simply have huge size, we don't change the weights there. Now we look at the dedicated bins, which are the bins that have a single item. You get an interval where the left point can lie and an interval where the right point can lie. Admissible positions for the left point of the interval IU and for the right point of the interval IU, but
in January, International Workshop on Sustainable Energy, Power and Propulsion was organized. The 3-day workshop was held at Jadavpur University, Kolkata. Several teachers, researchers and engineers from academia, industries and research organizations from worldwide attended this event to discuss major technological advances in this field.
An order of magnitude lesser amount of ignition energy to initiate the combustion. So that's very good because we don't have to invest too much of energy to start the combustion. But that's very challenging because if there are any carbon deposits inside the combustion chamber or even the hot tip of the electrode spark plug is enough to uncontrollably initiate the combustion.
And the oil we clean up and we reduce the water content and also some of the food from this oil, and then we run some acid. It consists of 14.7. A bit high level of acid content as well.
Short course on structure and characterization of materials was held in December 2014. It was organized to demonstrate the relevance and importance of key materials characterization methods to the teachers and industrial participants and to familiarize them with the technical advances that have taken over the years.
Okay, if it is a 2, then it forms a needle. So those information we can immediately judge before seeing the microstructure. Okay, so that information can be obtained by looking at the end value. Okay, so now once we know this, I can get it at a different temperature. Fine.
So area of this would be 1/4 of the area of the full circle, and if the point has to lie outside, then only the chord length will be less. The probability is 1/4. So, there are at least 50 research publications written on this Bertrand paradox.
TEQIP workshop on digital communication and networks was held in December. It aimed to highlight the most important concepts of digital communication and networks, especially from the perspective of undergraduate teaching. The focus was on basics and ideas that constitute the bedrock of modern communication systems.
And I want to get rid of this n. The easiest way to do that is take the limit.
So, some of the nodes I can reach directly, some of the nodes I cannot reach, I can only reach through a router. So, even within a single broadcast network I can create two partitions and I can have one node which is in both of them. So, here I will use the one single subnet, other one is one single. You can try this with 168 series addresses and 172.
So, the next obvious point to be discussed is the pulse shaping or the Nyquist criterion for zero intersymbol interference. In all digital communication systems, it shows up because it is not present in analog communication system, because analog communication systems do not have any symbol representation.
In December, winter internship and visiting researcher program was organized. This was a 3-week program in which selected students and teachers worked under the guidance of IIT Kanpur faculty members. This was a step towards encouraging exchange of knowledge and skills within students and faculty members of Quality Circle Institute and IIT Kanpur. At the end of the program, some of the students shared their experience with us.
Bhupesh Dutt Sharma. I am coming from Motilal Nehru National Institute of Technology, Allahabad, and I am a research scholar in the Department of Mathematics, and I am coming here to attend the winter internship program, which is the initiative of TEQIP and IIT Kanpur, and a very good initiative taken by these two institutions.
Hello, I am Neha Gupta and I am here by TEQIP KIT winter internship, and it is very nice to be here. And I am searching for so many papers, and we are visiting library also to see thesis of students so that we can get some guidance for our future work.
Myself Nukwa Mishra, and I am coming from Adama Malwa University of Technology to ongoing research program and under the winter internship program under TEQIP, and my research is the field of the VLSI, and I have work on the tool of the Centaurus 2D, which is a very good tool for the device simulation, and device modeling is a current technology in the semiconductor industry, and it is a very important for the going to the very large scale integrated circuit. And for this we are getting just a small IC or small device for making a good integrated circuit.
Myself Praveen Kumar Sahu. I am a research scholar in Department of Mathematics, MHRD Allahabad. Here I am working under the supervision of Dr. Professor Ratish sir in the field of computational fluid dynamics. We are working in the computational fluid dynamics methods for the problem of shock wave in astrophysics.
Good morning everyone. Myself Jina Tarif have come here from NIT Raipur. I have come here to attend this winter internship program, a 3 weeks internship program. Here actually my project was on something on nanoparticle, but when I came here, something different from what I am doing in my project work I have learned here.
In July 2014, Pravartana was organized. This was a school-cum-international workshop in mechanics. This was a 2-part affair, a 3-day school on mechanics followed by a conference, where experts from across the country and several international experts delivered lectures on their research work.
Or more complicated models, they all have roughly the same slightly non-linear effect. Yes. Well, I showed you this before. If you look very carefully, you can see the pressure drop does decrease, as in the computing. So in that model liquid, we get this bit right. We of course fail to get that bit right. So this is a 50% success rate.
Fairly close to 0. Okay. So this is not the problem that we should be looking at. So then I take another problem in which what I do is that I take the 1D case, but the distributed force is non-zero. So, this is 0, this is A, and this is the entire string. So, it is non-zero only over the first half of the interval, then subsequently there is really no distributed force. So, that part of the string should be a straight line. Okay.
Potential velocity u at x1 and u at x2, it is not necessarily that you choose that. You can choose this as h of x1 and h of x2, and you can show that h x is equal to u x. Okay. So, that also one can show easily. So, I am just not taking it so that the algebra can be little more simple. So, when you do this transformation, write this in this equation, where u is obviously del psi del x and del psi del y, and v is minus del psi del x in the boundary layer equation you choose. Psi is the stream function. Okay.
And the classic experiments, either in horses or in humans, were done on treadmills, because there it's most convenient to control the speed, right? So this experiment was of course done first on a person rather than a horse, where you put a person on a treadmill, the treadmill is going slowly, you slowly increase the speed of the treadmill, and at a particular speed, roughly around 2 meters per second, you switch gaits from walking to running, and then you run for whatever higher speed, and then if you slowly decrease the speed, you switch gaits again from running to walking around 2 meters per second, but not exactly the same as the walk to run transition, it turns out. And can we explain that gate transition, which is sort of a phase transition between two kinds of solutions, using energy optimality? And turns out we can approximately, and this figure is all that you need. So, this blue curve is energy per unit time for walking as a function of speed, and this red curve is energy per unit time for running as a function of speed, and these two curves cross around here.
And the particular problem that I am interested in, that is widely used in the domain of fluid mechanics, is that there is Taylor-Kuet flow. That is, you have two concentric cylinders. You have an inner cylinder, which you can't see in there, perhaps you can, and then you have an outer transparent cylinder. There is a fluid in between, and when you rotate the inner cylinder, you can measure the viscosity from the torque, and that is why this is very frequently used. In fact, it is the most commonly used viscometric device to measure the viscosity of fluids. But the interesting thing it does is, and this is an old problem, as you increase the rotation rate of the inner cylinder, there is a spontaneous instability, and you start seeing bands of this kind.
Workshop for computer science teachers was held in July 2014. The workshop focused on the fundamental courses in computer science, which are considered as the backbone of computer science education.
States, and if I am traversing through p plus 1 states, there is one state which gets repeated. So therefore, we can just draw this as follows. So if I look at my start state, okay, I take a path and there is some state which is getting repeated. Let's say that this state is getting repeated.
So, I am pretending that I want to traverse through the space. Fine, I'll go that way. And as I travel, in every step, see, the one difference immediately comes is that my universe is discrete. I cannot talk about arbitrarily small time steps. I have certain discrete space. So, if I go from this vertex, I can go only to the neighboring vertices. Okay? All right.
Value true or false, one of the values true or false, then calculate the truth value of each formula, and all of them must be true. If all of them are true, then your set is true. Right? So that is satisfiability, and if you do not have this possibility, that is, there is no interpretation which will satisfy.
Workshop on dynamics and vibration was held in July 2014. This was a focused workshop and resource generation exercise aiming to come out with a white paper on status of education of dynamics and vibration.
Periodic behavior of two cycle. Now we can't call it the eigenvector in that sense. So those of you who are comfortable with linear algebra will realize that it is in the null space of, I don't want to include all that jargon, but now the vector A that you will get will be complex. It will no longer remain real. Okay.
If we integrate for all functions of x, where this is less than y, you can find the distribution function of fy, and by differentiating you can get the density function of fy. Is this okay? So if in some fashion, some way we are able to find this information, write y as a function of x, if the characteristics of this is known, then we can find the probability density function, or here the distribution function for the function y. So y is the dependent random variable, x is the independent random variable. If the description for the independent one is known, it can be found here.
So here is a problem. There is a uniform rigid cylinder. I choose an arbitrary point A0 on the bottom face, another point B0 on the top face, and put a rigid massless axle passing through these 2 points. Then I take this axis A0, B0 and orient it so that it is 42 degrees or some such from the direction of gravity, so that this becomes some points A1 and B1, and I put it on rigid frictionless bearings, and then I release it, it finds an equilibrium position.
When the military jet takes off, you have about 100 watt per meter square. So factor of 10 to the power 14 is the range of in sound intensity. Actually, it is not the range of sound intensity. What is important is what is called the sound pressure level. What is the amplitude or the RMS pressure level at a given point? That is important.
In June, TEQIP workshop on mechanics and physics was organized. The 4-day workshop had rigorous sessions on various aspects of mechanics and had a detailed discussion on what should be taught as a part of physics in the undergraduate curriculum of all engineering institutions.
Product of these three matters, it is in this form. I need to just look at it more carefully, and it can be done. So this is how we get this 9 component object transform from blue frame to green frame. So if
in terms of position and momentum, I can write them as two first order equations, and 2 first order equations would still require 2 initial conditions. That can't change. But now what I'll do is simply tell you what is x at t equal to 0 and what is p at t equal to 0. I give you an initial condition just of the variables concerned.
The trio of this, delta x, delta p, delta e, delta t, delta l, delta t. Delta e, delta t is a little different because they are not simultaneously measurable quantities. Psi is to be known. If psi is known, everything about the system is known. What is everything about the system? What is it that you want? First thing is energy. When energy known, along with that, its tail comes. What is that? Eigenfunction. Like that. So, find all the information, put them together. Psi is the grand fellow. But these fellows are energy eigenfunction, momentum eigenfunction.
After this, TEQIP workshop on teaching methodologies in chemical and material sciences was held in February 2014. The workshop tried to evolve a comprehensive mandatory curriculum in material science for all engineering students.
Incubation Center at IIT Kanpur.
The properties can come later. So structure property correlations, right? Somebody was talking about the mechanical behavior. How does that behavior come from the? I think things like symmetry and space can go there. Advanced crystallography. No, as electric. Yeah, those are electric. So some of the suggested topics which are listed here, we can have a discussion on that. But basically, you can divide it into two groups: homogeneous reactors and heterogeneous reactors. Now, as Professor Gautam Jos sort of gave a sort of summary yesterday, that some IITs have two courses in chemical reactor engineering, some have one. I don't know about the other, your college, but at least at IIT Kanpur we have one compulsory course and one they can take as an elective.
Does it tell you bonding or does it valence or something else? See, one can make a table of one page for every technique. That tells you what the applicability of the technique is. What kind of problem do you use this technique for? That's one. The second is this problem with JCPDs and all that. For every technique today, there is a package solution interaction system where you get data which may be garbage and the student doesn't know what to do with it.
Workshop on system engineering was held in December 2013. This was conducted based on popular demand from the faculty and students of the institutions under KIT IIT Kanpur.
Carrying mechanism for you to carry, and this can be folded in, and they will give you two bases, one for your home, one for your office.
The formability is very, very important. How can you change the shape with so easily and get what you want? That's very, very important. Okay. So formability is giving shape, giving form to the given raw material. For example, if you want to say that I want to make a metal sheet, okay, with a radius of this very sharp radius or very blunt radius, it's going to be really tough.
In October 2013, Pravartana, a workshop on applied mechanics, was held. The workshop featured detailed research-oriented talks by experts from a wide spectrum of topics in mechanics.
So not clearly defined. So the traditional approach is to go around this difficulty by using averaging. The moment you average, it leads to new model parameters.
For example, earthquake can be viewed as extremes of geophysical process like tectonic process, wind is geodynamical processes, and so on and so forth. Now, they are all ridden with uncertainties and we need to model them. So, we classify uncertainties as being heliotropic, epistemic, and our friend already used this word, unknown unknowns, and there are human errors which could be bona fide or mala-fide.
Universities, at least in chemical engineering and mechanical engineering department, transport phenomena is sort of a mandatory course in the curriculum. So in this talk, I'm going to go through a classroom type lecture on Reynolds transport theorem, which some of us know that it is an important theorem to come to the conservation equations in the appropriate form. So the Reynolds transport theorem, it comes under the realm of kinematics. So I thought to show one slide on the basic definition and what do we mean by kinematics. So it is nothing but just the study of the motion of the object without concerning the forces that are causing that motion.
In May 2014, TEQIP IIT Kanpur offered summer internship and visiting researcher program. This was the first exercise of its kind in the country. Through all these initiatives, KIT IIT Kanpur has successfully established strong links with its quality circle institutions. Inputs from faculty and students on various models of interactions has helped us in organizing these events in more effective manner and plan for future events in a way to help them with pedagogy research and overall development.